Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're through to game week 14. I can't believe it, but James and I are keeping this up weekly now. 14. I wouldn't have bet that. I'll tell you that for nothing.
Quick thing before everybody, we've talked about the stuff, guys. Please hit that subscribe button. Really important. We want to get the road to 1,000. So before you do anything, hit that button if you haven't already, and also like. Really important.
And also, every subscription and every like is paying you respect to how bad my record was for game week 12. You've caught me up. So my overall is 54 and 65. James, your overall is 51 and 68. So I was hopefully trying to get to 500. I'm now way down. I got some work to do, but you're only behind me by 3. So you've closed the gap a little bit here. And I'll give you the opportunity to go first here. Leicester City at home against Manchester City. Who have you got in that one?
This traditionally, Jack, it's a tricky fixture. You know, City have won their last 3, but Leicester, if I remember, Leicester have always seemed to give Man City some tricky games. I remember when Guardiola first came to the Premier League, that was one of the games that they managed to drop. Leicester City last season taking Man City to a 6-3 game. Yes, they did concede 3 goals, but there's a comeback going on, and then City put their foot on the grass. And Leicester picked up a little bit of momentum lately. I think they've won their last 2 games, haven't lost in their last 3, but it's Manchester City, and wherever they are, wherever they go, it's hard to bet against them. I just feel every single week I'm going to come with the same thing. This is a game that, Jack, to me, we should put on upset alert on how good Leicester City are.
Right.
I'm going to just say Man City is going to win the game 3-1.
I got 4-1. Look, I appreciate the upset alert. Even if we're calling it a draw, I appreciate that. I would like to pat myself on the back. I put Saints Arsenal on upset alert, and it did end up being a draw. Not the upset to the fullest extent, but still an upset alert. So, guys, keep an eye out for Leicester City maybe snagging a draw. James might be right on this one. But yeah, James, look, in the same way that I'm captaining Erling Haaland every single week on fantasy football, that's never going to change.
That should be illegal now, Jack.
But honestly, as long as the man's fit, then he's going to be captain every week, and I would assume everyone's going to do the same. It extends to the rest of this Manchester City team. We talk about best teams, and obviously, James, we've discussed Arsenal and how well they've been playing this year and all this kind of stuff. Manchester City, when they play in these games and they beat teams, they do it with kind of a swagger and a conviction that the other teams in the league do not have. So I'll be backing Manchester City basically in every single fixture, apart from maybe Liverpool away going forward. I got 4-1.
Even then, we can back them to beat Liverpool. So
right. Moving on, I will take this one away here. Newcastle are at home against Aston Villa. Again, second game. I'm also going to give myself a pat on the back. I had Newcastle beating Spurs 2-1, and James, that's what happened. I'm really pleased with my analysis on that game. Aston Villa, Unai Emery coming to town, right? You're familiar with him, James, I'm sure. But
good evening.
I think this Newcastle team, they're starting to really get a sense of themselves, and there's a little bit of arrogance, a little bit of cockiness that I think you need if you're going to become a better football team. And Newcastle are the latest team who are up there trying to challenge and enter this race for top 6, or enter this top 6. Maybe we'll start referring to it as a top 7 in the coming years. And I think especially at home, I like the way Callum Wilson, with the injury of Alexander Isak, has been given a chance to kind of prove himself again. Maybe Isak will be on the bench when he comes back fit because of how he's been playing. But I think Newcastle get a convincing win here against an Aston Villa team that are kind of up and down. We're going to see what happens with Unai Emery. I'm worried about the new manager bounce that teams get a lot of the time, but I just think this Newcastle team, they work too hard. They're too good, too talented. So I'm going to take Newcastle 2-0 against Villa. Who have you got, James?
It's a tough one. Yeah, Newcastle are playing amazing. Top 4, see what they did to Tottenham. Almiron, Jack, has been an absolute revelation there. But Villa, for some weird reason, they did what they did against Brentford. They fouled Steven Gerrard. I'm breaking everything inside my house thinking, what in the hell is this?
Right, where's this from?
Jack mentioned that new managerial bounce. It is a real thing. We see it over and over and over again. I can't see Unai Emery taking a loss in his first game. I'm going to sit on the fence here because Newcastle have shown great form, and I'm going to say 1-0.
1-0. I like it. James, staying with you, South Coast. We're going to Bournemouth. Spurs need to kind of recover from that Newcastle result. Are they going to do it with a win against Bournemouth?
Again, Bournemouth have been again, Jack, I feel like the way we look at Bournemouth, we thought that they weren't even going to win. They're going to be like a Derby County type on how they started the season overall. But again, Jack, they've shown serious form. And I get it, the last 3 games hasn't been great, the fact that they haven't picked up a win, but they had showed good momentum. But Tottenham, on the other hand, has been a team dropped the last 2 games. It's against sides who will be challenging them, and maybe I think as Tottenham, you would probably find it hard to bet against Tottenham against teams who are on the same level as them, or just a lower level, but above them, but below them. But this Brighton team to Tottenham, there is a big gap there. If we're being truthfully honest, yes, it is away. I mean, Bournemouth. Yes, there is. Yes, it is away. But I'm gonna stick with Tottenham here. I'm gonna go for the fact that the quality is there. And Jack, maybe we can have a discussion about Antonio Conte and his approach to games with this Tottenham team. But I'm gonna back them, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be a boring 1-0 game for Tottenham.
James, I got the exact same score. Yeah, look, guys, this story has been played out time after time with fractious relationships with Antonio Conte and his players, the board, the staff, you name it. This is the kind of thing that will happen, and not getting a result here, even a draw here, I think is not going to be good for Antonio Conte. And I would wonder if the cracks are starting to show with him no longer being in that job. We know how quickly things can turn with Antonio Conte, but James, like you just said, there's such a gap in talent between the Tottenham Hotspur squad, first 11 and manager, and what we do have at Bournemouth. Even though Bournemouth are at home and playing better than a lot of people give them credit for, I can just see Spurs eking out a win here. And again, this is what's happening with the Spurs team. James, it's funny. I kind of get the sense, similarly to Manchester United here a little bit from last season. Remember, we were always saying, like, man, they've got to play well at some point, don't they? We're still kind of waiting for that really to happen with this Spurs team. Maybe it'll be now, but I'm going to say probably not, and they just eke out a 1-0 win here. I'm a little disappointed the way this has worked, James, with us going in kind of a snake order here, because I'm first on a game that I think is really difficult to call. Brighton are at home.
Difficult.
Yeah, Brighton are at home, Chelsea coming to town. Here's what I'm struggling with. The players know Graham Potter. Graham Potter knows the players. Now, who has the edge in that respect? Because there are going to be senior players at Brighton who are going to tell De Zerbi, look, here's what he likes to do. We know what he's like. Here's what he likes us to do. Here's what he's going to tell his defenders to do, tell his midfielders to do. But then also on the other side of the thing, Graham Potter's going to be like, they know what I know. And I know that they know that. And, you get into that whole headspace, right? Do you double down? Do you second guess yourself? How do you do it? I'm going to bank on the fact that Graham Potter has inherited more intelligent, higher quality football players to play his style, and the fact that he actually knows his players better than the players know him and his management, because it's the manager's job to pay attention to that stuff. Brighton is still a good team. They're still going to be a tough opposition to come up against. So I still think Brighton score, but I think Chelsea just do one better. I'm going to say 2-1 to Chelsea. He just gets the edge of his old team. And I do think there's a good amount of respect, a standing ovation, maybe a clap for him when he first comes out. But I think he's going to upset his old team here.
Interestingly enough, Jack, Brighton has never beaten Chelsea in the Premier League. In 10 games, Chelsea has 6 wins, but the last 4 games have been all draw. Now, Graham Potter, one thing I've realized from him, he's not scared to make a switch, and he's not scared to change his formation, his tactics, whether that's a substitution or whatever, or like a change of formation early in the game. I think the Brighton manager, the Brentford manager talked about that. I said, why do you make so many changes during a game? But he's very reactionary to what is going on in the game, and that might be a thing that that Brighton players will speak to the manager about, talking about how Potter can be reactionary to the things that go on there. But I'm gonna take what I see, and the fact that the last 4 has been a draw. I do get it, Graham Potter knows what's going to go on there, but with this Chelsea team, Jack, they haven't blew me away. They haven't made me feel, okay, I can really back them if they're going to go on this huge run. I think this is going to be a draw, and I'm going to say 1-1 again.
1-1, I like it. James, staying with you, Crystal Palace welcoming Saints to town. How do you see this one playing out?
Crystal Palace Saints. I always like to get my little facts up right there. For some weird reason, it isn't loading right now. So I'm just gonna have to waffle, Jack. You're gonna have to. Would you take this one, and I'll
Sure.
do.
Yeah,
I'll follow
absolutely.
because I like to see the facts. I like to see the history of the fixture. Actually, no, the history of the fixture is here. But you can go. Go on.
Okay, I got 2-1 Palace. Yeah, look, I hate picking Saints games. I hate it so much. It's so difficult to call. We saw that with the Arsenal game. Again, I can pat myself on the back all I want by saying that I saw that, or being on upset alert, right, and that Saints might get something out of the game because they're a hard team to pick for. Doesn't mean I picked them to get a draw or to win the game. It means I still picked Arsenal. So again, I'm going to pick Palace in a 2-1 game. Again, similar reasons. I just think they have difference makers in key attacking areas of the pitch. But again, Southampton, they're a nightmare. they can come up and disrupt any team in this league, which means they're, I would guess if we look through it, it's probably my least correct score team, I would say, probably for Saints. But I'm going to just go with the likes of a Wilfred Zaha to try and make the difference in this game, especially at home. 2-1 to Palace.
Palace seems to be the easier answer here, Jack.
Yes.
And me looking at the history of this fixture, Southampton actually leads in wins of 6 for Crystal Palace and 14 for Southampton. And bear in mind, this probably goes back to the fact that they've been in the Premier League for a while. I'm talking about back in the day. But Southampton are a team that it's a weird outfit, and I hate looking at their games because we don't know what Southampton's going to show up. It could be a Southampton team who lose 9-0, yeah, or a Southampton team who can come up and bring an upset against any team anytime. The fact that they were able to take points off Arsenal is a big thing. Only Manchester United were able to do that.
Right.
But Jack, with Southampton, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to back them, and I'm going to say that I'm going to take the other side. I think Southampton win the game 2-1.
2-1, I like it. James, going to stay with you, going to Brentford, going to the community stadium, Wolves coming to town. How do you see that one playing out?
Now, Brentford this season has been a bit tipsy-turvy. You're not really sure what's going to happen. I remember the Brighton game. We backed Brighton to win. Brentford, they came out with it, but in the last 5, Jack, they've only won 1 out of their last 5, and exact same thing with Wolves. It's a topsy-turvy sort of environment that you're not sure what type of Wolves is going to show up here. The quality but both teams have quality, especially in forward areas now. The fact that Diego Costa's there, but I don't know how ready mentally and physically he is to take Wolves to that next level. And we all know what Ivan Toney brings to that Brentford side, but I like Wolves, and I think their team is going to be a mainstay in the Premier League for a long period of time due to the fact of the investments in like the players that they have there. You look at the midfield there; those two are good enough to play in the majority of teams in the Premier League.
Right.
Neves in like Coutinho. So I'm going to stick with the result last season. I'm going to say 2-1 Wolves, Jack.
2-1 Wolves. James, I got the complete opposite. I'm going Brentford 2-1. And again, I look at it to match up at the defensive side of the ball. Brentford, the home factor, I think, plays a huge part. And again, there is no killer cutting edge that Wolves side have at the moment. I'm not going to put any, if we're ranking starting Premier League strikers, Diego Costa might be 19th or 20th. This is a guy who's past it, not capable of doing it anymore. There's a reason why he was a free agent for such a long period of time, and it's a huge drop off compared to Sasa Kalajdzic, who again, I'm going to say again for the millionth video in the row, I'm so upset that he's not been able to play this year. Wolves would be a completely different team if he was able to play. And again, I really like Ivan Toney against that Wolves defensive line. James, Connor Cody didn't go because he wasn't a good player and wasn't a good fit for the dressing room and hadn't really earned his stripes. No, Connor Cody went because, Connor Cody's probably got a little bit more skin in the game in that Wolves dressing room than Bruno Lage or any manager that they've had. That's the reason why he's no longer there as the captain, as the leader. You look at that defensive line for Wolves, it is not pretty. Ivan Toney's going to be licking his lips. There's going to be some other players who are going to think that they'll be able to get at Wolves, especially at home. So again, Wolves can control the game, they have talent, but I don't think they have that finish piece. Brentford, I think, will be able to get at this Wolves defence. Fulham welcoming Everton to town. James, if you held a gun to my head, my Premier League team is Fulham. I really like Fulham. I like rooting for Fulham. I've got a lot of players I like, and I kind of want what's best for them, and I'm rooting for them week by week. We've also, James, had a couple of games here where I've gone, I'm kind of doubting them a little bit here. I just don't feel the same kind of way. I'm sick of it. I'm sticking with them. I like Andres Pereira. I really, as you know, like Mitrovic. I like Palhinha, who's been brought in as well, right? I like the defensive players they have. There's talent across the squad. I think there's a unity. I like that Marco Silva's, I think, finally being able to show his qualities as a manager as well. Everton obviously coming to town, defensively stout and all this kind of stuff, but you can be as defensively stout as you want to be, but Alexander Mitrovic will get a couple of opportunities, and in this current mood and form, he will score. So I'm going to say 2-1 here. This is my third game in a row where I'm going for 2-1. I know it's such a boring scoreline, but I just can't see any of a lot of the games and matchups this week are very close. So Fulham 2-1 against Everton for me.
I'm gonna flip it the other way, Jack. Like, Everton are a team. Yes, they lost the last three, but they were able to pick up a 3-0 victory against Crystal Palace. We know the quality, Jack, that they have. Now, I'm not saying it's immense quality, but they have ability to frustrate teams. And then at the other hand, with somebody like Aaron Gordon, can really hurt teams. You know, let's see what happens with like DC if he's able to come back in form. But I like him in this sort of environment where they're not forced to go out there and take it to a team. They can kind of sit back and be a little reserved, and then once the opportunity comes from a Demarai Gray or like whatever, they can really spring. I'm going to say it's going to be 2-0 Everton.
What I'll say as well, James, I'm just gonna kind of throw this out there. I don't want to dwell on the point too much, but obviously I've been critical of looking at Alex Iwobi in this midfield role, just being like, what the hell is happening here? Like, who is this guy? With the attacking options flooding back into the team, I think we're going to see him grow into this role and get better and better. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if you're in an attacking creative role, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is arguably like the poster boy of the kind of guy you'd want for this kind of position. So Alex Iwobi, I think just from my personal experience, I watched him for a couple of games and wasn't very impressed. But the last 3-4 games, he's actually playing a lot better. And with a returning Calvert-Lewin, this Everton team could go on a little bit of an offensive tear now.
Jack, as I said with Alex Iwobi, I think one of the best bits about his game is the fact that he's a great ball retainer. He's amazing in possession, and like his ability to actually play forward is actually a big plus. I don't think he's the most creative going forward and having to create chances, and like his final third product isn't that great. But because he's sat a little bit deeper away from goal right now and kind of conduct things, he done it really well at Arsenal, picking up pockets of space. He can really do that now, and I think he's been one of the best performing midfielders in the Premier League this season.
And James, now he's got somebody to pass to going forward if he wants to, in Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We'll see how he does. James, sticking with you, Liverpool. Leeds coming to town. Again, tricky, historic, fixture. This is not from a couple of years ago. This is not the easy result pick that it would have been. Who have you got in this one?
Jack, both teams will want to play each other.
Oh,
that's weird thing to say.
Damning for Liverpool, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, Leeds, we look at it from this point of view. Wait, Forest? This team we're not sure what type of Liverpool we can get. If we show up to a certain point, we can really affect this Liverpool team and get that at them. In Liverpool, on the other hand, here's a team who's failed to win in their last 5 games, have lost 4 straight games in a row. We want that. But Leeds are like defense, midfield. They're not really, the strikers ain't really at it right now.
Right.
Anfield is tough, but we can really get at them. But as I mentioned, that key word there, Anfield. I'm just going to back it. Liverpool, the fact it's Anfield. Again, I really don't know what I'm meant to say about Liverpool. I don't know what Liverpool's going to show up. I'm just going to back the fact that they do have enough quality, and I'm going to say 3-1 Liverpool. Well, if Leeds do win, I won't be shocked. But Leeds do get something out of it, I will not be shocked.
Well, James, again, the difficulty picking these games with Liverpool is you don't know what Liverpool you're going to get. You know, are you going to get this Roberto Firmino coming deep kind of role, and then Salah pushing up, and back to kind of the last few years kind of Liverpool team, especially at home. Oh, no questions asked, Liverpool are going to win. Or are we going to kind of get this new breed with Darwin Nunez and trying to move on and trying to create something different? And that's always tricky. But you've made all the right noises and said all the right things there. It's Anfield. I'm not picking it against Liverpool at Anfield against an inferior football team. I don't care what the matchup is. I don't care how much I like Brandon Aronson or whatever. I don't give a damn. Liverpool, I'm always going to pick, and I picked 2-0. What was your score for that one, James? Sorry, I missed it.
I said 3-1 Liverpool.
3-1 to Liverpool. Lovely stuff. James, I hate to do this to you, but I'm going first on Arsenal here. I'm robbing the right from you here. Arsenal welcoming Nottingham Forest. I think, well, I'd like to think, especially if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd like to think that Mikel Arteta said to the guys after the game, like, yeah, this is an away Premier League football fixture. Nothing is going to be given to you for free. Nothing's going to be given to you easy. Based on what I saw, I didn't get the sense that it was like Arsenal were lucky to get a draw from the game. If anything, they were the team with the impetus to push for the win. But I think it's a good reminder to some of the players who may be getting a little bit complacent that, hey guys, listen, if we're going to try and win this league, which we think we can do here, then these are the games we need to kind of put away. And I think going back to North London, welcoming a team that, as we've discussed, is a bit hit and miss. We don't know what's going on. All these new moving pieces for this Forest team. I think Arsenal will be able to take advantage of that. They're just better in every position on the pitch. Pretty convincing 2-0 win for Arsenal here for me, James. What have you got?
Jack, you hit the nail on the head from the point of view. You mentioned one word that got me, and that's being complacent. The Aston team, I felt the first half were great, but it was almost like we just expected to kind of get the result in like when Southampton smacked us in the mouth and scored. We weren't really sure, like, huh?
How's this happened?
Right? Like, we usually just stroll through these sort of games. Might have a scare, but we don't concede. But the smacking them out wasn't nice. But the fact that we didn't lose the game was, to me, a bit of a bright spot. Disappointed to drop points, but I feel like we're going to carry on and get our momentum back. It is at the Emirates. Forest did win against Liverpool, but I just can't see us losing this game. I'm going to say 3-0.
3-0, wow. Yeah, with authority. James, last game of the week, I would argue, based on looking at some of them, I mean, Brighton-Chelsea sticks out to me, but I'd say maybe game of the week here, potentially. Manchester United welcoming West Ham to town. West Ham with obviously their victory last night. James, what have you got for this one?
Jack, let me.
James has got that smile on his face.
No. Let me paint the picture for you. So, okay. It's 1-0. Right, game's not really going anywhere. And a certain man comes on, a certain 30-year-old man is going to come onto the field. The ball lands to him, and he scores. I'm going to say it's going to be 2-1 Manchester United. And the winning goal is going to be scored by the man who's been ostracized from the Manchester United team, Cristiano Ronaldo. Let's say 2-1 Manchester United with a Cristiano Ronaldo winner.
Hey, I'm going to say this now. If that happens, if it's 1-1 and then ends up 2-1 because of a Cristiano Ronaldo winner, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you an extra point.
Oh, listen.
I'll tell you that. Please. If you're picking the correct score and the correct goal scorer, I'll give you an extra point. That's okay. James, 3-2 for me. I think that this Manchester United team are getting a sense of who they are. I think Erik ten Hag is playing his role as Manchester United manager beautifully, better than any manager since Sir Alex Ferguson has done it. I have so much time for him. I think he's fantastic. His ability of dealing with the Cristiano Ronaldo situation, his ability of dealing with the squad seems to be fantastic. I do think, though, that this West Ham team will be able to get at Manchester United. Rafael Varane, James, is not playing. That means that in terms of stylistically who you want as a centre-back partner to come in, either Erik ten Hag is going to give a kind of a damning assessment on Harry Maguire's future at the football club by playing somebody like Victor Lindelof, or, as the rumours suggest, Maguire's going to come in and fill in that Rafael Varane role. James, I think Maguire would be in his own head. Lisandro Martinez can't bail him out all the time, and with somebody like Gianluca Scamacca knocking around, and some of the players that they have there, Lucas Paqueta, etc., this Manchester United team, I think, will be able to be got at. But I think the attacking talent, especially on the break, that Manchester United have is going to be very, very dangerous. I'm going to go 3-2. This really might be kind of a game of the week territory for me. That winning goal, I don't know if it'll be Ronaldo, but it might be somebody. Guys at home, James mentioned it earlier in the video. Please drop a like on the video. Please hit subscribe as well. We'd really appreciate it. Sometimes you get our videos just by, the algorithm going, oh, maybe you'd like this still. But something that guarantees you get our videos, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell as well. Guys, the World Cup is coming. James and I are not going to be logged off and not posting for the World Cup. It's going to be ramped up even more. There's a lot of stuff coming for this, and obviously very, very interesting storylines coming forward. Please Also, guys, final thing, we really appreciate when you put your own picks down there, because it makes us feel a little better. And if you want to give us some, then we can give it straight back to you, because we know what games you've picked. I just want to give a particular shout out to Carl Doherty from his picks that he's posted recently, and also Dan Milne as well for his picks. Guys, keep it up, and obviously, hopefully, we can get some other of you guys to post your comments down below. And if anybody gets a 10 out of 10 week, now, I don't know, James, they might have to hop on a Zoom call with us, and they might have to take one of our places here. But yeah, James, anything else from you, mate?
Guys, like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below your fixtures, and we'll see you guys in the next video.